Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amrutam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May the divine lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Welcome to the Sunday service of the Vedanta Society of Toronto. And it is being done from outside. It's being online. Um, this is a beautiful Sunday morning. And the topic today is speaking with God. We're going to discuss on that, speaking with God. So, what the topic means, how do we speak with God? Does God also speak with us? All those we will try to discuss in this talk today. So, speaking with God is we can speak verbally with word, loudly, and more often when we speak with God, it is more is done mentally. We talk to God in silence, with mind only we talk to God. In fact, speaking with God is a prayer to God. You say something to God. So the prayers are actually, when we say prayer, prayer is what? It is talking with God, is communion with God, is communicating with God. That is what the prayer is. So when does a human being prays to God? So we in our life we have many problems come. We stumble in our path, way of life. There are the difficulties come. What we plan, it doesn't happen. Unforeseen problems come. Say then we have to find some power to help us, and that is what when that time is the when we need. We need to have this prayer or talking to God. They say that in the Gita it is said that people pray to God in four conditions. Four types of people worship God: Artho, Jigyasu, Artharthi, Jnani. So Artha is when one gets affliction, some problem, some suffering any way. You suffer from the loss, you suffer from not getting your goal, you suffer from not having achieved your project. So some fear, some apprehension in life, and if some physical suffering, you pray to God, please save me from this suffering, please relieve me from this, please relieve me from this want. So that is called artha, person who is really suffering. And another is jigyasu. When one wants to something, some doubt comes, question comes, he tries to find here and there in books and in his academic things, but that doesn't answer what answer he wants or she wants. Then he approaches God and starts praying to God. I couldn't find anything answer to that. Please reveal me to it. So God may not speak you directly, but He reveals you in your mind. You suddenly trust, yes, it is that way. As a result of a prayer, the answer comes. So jigyasu, you want to know something. You want to clear your doubts on something. So jigyasu. Then there is the third category called Artharthi. Artharthi means one who needs something. Artha means actually objects or wealth. So when one needs wealth or something, then also it is Artharthi. So they also pray to God, Lord, make this happen to me. May I get this? May I have this thing to me? So that is Artharthi. And fourth category is called Jnani. Jnani is the one who knows that nothing is there needed for in the world. All is everything given, and anything more added doesn't make me happy. Only there is desire to get more. So such people who are jnani, wise people, people who know that nothing in the world can satisfy us or make us happy. What makes us really happy is God Himself. So they want God. That's why it's called Jnani. They know what is there, but still they know that supreme power, that higher power, and that higher power is always there to help them, and they want to speak with God in that way. They want to be connected to God in that way, and that becomes speaking with God for the jnani. So of these four types, Sri Krishna says the fourth one, who is jnani, who knows the nature of the world, and who knows God, the power of God and presence of God as the owner of this world, and who on whose wish the whole world runs, who knows that, and then he comes to me, speaks to me, worships me. That is the best. Tesham Gyanim. That among the Gyani, among them, Gyani is the best, my best devotee, he says. So that's why there are different people who need God at the time of problem comes, when they can solve the problems. So when he seeks reality, when the person wants to know about the reality, that's the jnani. That people are not satisfied with all the things. Sometimes it comes in our world that we have everything, but still we are not satisfied with the thing that we have. So we want to know the truth, the reality, what is the meaning of this life, this coming and going and being here for a few years, then dying. What is the purpose of this life? Nothing seems to be real purpose of life. Then also we need to talk with God, speak with God. And when there is a problem of when person sees that death is inevitable, we feel that we are going to die and we don't want to die, and then also there is speaking with God, and they, so that conquering death, also speaking, they want a question from God, like we heard in the story of Buddha and Kisha Gotami, one widow whose son had died, and she wants her son to revive to life, and comes to Buddha, and Buddha doesn't make her child back to life, but he says, go and find the mustard seeds from a place where nobody had died, from the village, any house. So she goes and finds that everyone had the experience of death of someone in their family. So she becomes wise, and she knows that death is inevitable. And there comes wise and says, no prayer, no asking you to revive. So this mystery of death and how to conquer death. So that also makes us speak with God. So greater, higher inquiry, how to attain immortality, as we prayed in the beginning. May the divine lead us from death to immortality. How is that immortality attained? Is this attained by just asking God, just talking with God, give me immortality? No, immortality is to realize that we are immortal. Body will perish. Body is part of nature. Nature is ever recycling. The body that is formed from elements will go back to elements, and it will be there will be recycling. But what remains is what is ever permanent, what is immortal is Atman. My true self is immortal. To know about my true self is gaining immortality. So that also we need to approach God and talk to God about all such questions. You need something in the world, you need to remove your affliction, suffering from the world, and you need, if you inquire about the higher things about this life and death, and to get to conquer death, so nature of the reality, in that way we all want to communicate with God, want to pray to God, want to get answer from God. That's why it is said in the scriptures, Kaschid dhira pratyagatmanamichat. Some people who are wise and they wanted to realize the Atman, Pratyagatman, and attain immortality. What they did, says Upanishad, that they abrita chakshu, they they uh, removed the way the mind goes. They, when the mind always goes towards sense objects, they focus the mind towards their own self. So that is what is abrit chakshu. Mind, they don't say there's eyes. Eyes is the thing that sees the whole world. And what the wise person, to attain immortality and to know the self, he turned his eyes towards the self. So from the world, turned towards self. So that is what abrit chakshu, turning the eyes away from the world and to know the reality of the self. Because only when we know self or the Atman or our true reality of ourself, then only the immortality and all bliss and that conquering of death can happen. Otherwise, this world is ever changing. It is created and it is destroyed. And this body is also part of this world. Body, I am not the body, I am not the mind. So, this type of knowledge can happen when we try to focus on the reality. We have the question, who am I? And that question, who am I, itself is communion with God. You are asking God, who am I? And the answer comes from God. You are not the body. That the thing that mano buddhi hankara chitta ninaham, that answer comes from divine. I am not the mind, I am not the body, I am not the chitta, mano, and I am not the intellect. So that type of answer is given by God to our mind, and the rishi can say mano buddhi hankara chitta ninaham. I'm not neither the prana, not the body, nor the mind, and who I am, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. So that question, that asking, that inquiry, that will begin when we start speaking with God, when we start talking with God, who resides in our heart, in within ourselves, and then the answer will come. What does the prayer do? That answer communicating prayer. And what does it do? Prayer strengthens the hope and gives confidence in us. When we find someone is there who can answer our question, who is there to help us, who is there to provide us the thing that we need, who is there to give us the wisdom that I very badly need, then we approach to that person, that being, and then I get confidence. Yes, it can be done. It is achievable. It is to be found. So prayer gives a lot of strength. Prayer is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength. You abide to someone who is more powerful and who is generous and who is mm, capacity, who has the capacity to grant you what you need. There's nothing that God cannot give you. So God can give the answers to all your questions. He can give reply to all your questions. So that is what when we pray to God, we get that hope. Yes, there is someone who is there to help me. There's someone always there because that being loves me. So that type of confidence, it becomes strong, and hope becomes, yes, I can achieve. That's what can happen. One poet wrote about Sri Ramakrishna's eyes. His topic, his subject of his poetry was Sri Ramakrishna's eyes. So that poet wrote in Bengali. He says, "What Sri Ramakrishna's eyes tell? It tells to me that he says it. The eyes say, you can do, you can surely do, you can surely attain. You will be capable to do the thing that you want. That you have that strength, that hope I get." That faith in myself I get when we look at Sri Ramakrishna's eyes, says that poet. So that is what how God gives us, strengthens our hope and our confidence. God also connects with this prayer, also connects this speaking with God, also connects with our true friend who is powerful to fulfill our needs if He wills. So, God is our not only our master, He's our friend, ever present to us and ever ready to help us. He's true friend. At the time of need, He's always there. He doesn't say, "Oh, you had always forgotten me. Now, when you are in need, then you are asking me." It doesn't say that way because he's our true friend, he's our true well wisher. So, whenever we need, when we approach God and talk to Him, invoke Him, call Him, God is always there to help us. Just many people feel God's presence when they pray intensely. Oh, there is my chosen ideal is present there. So that type of feeling comes, and God is really always present when we have the uh, question, when we have deeply are finding some solution for some problems in our life. There is the presence of God. So prayer makes us feel that God is there. So what types of prayers are also different for different people. that one is called tantric prayer, not tantric, tamasic prayer. Tamasic prayer is the one when we there is the prayer approaching God for harming someone. Dacoits used to pray Mother Kali, they say, before going dacoit, putting the robbery in a village or a person's house. They used to approach Mother Kali to get her blessing, and then they will go and plunder the house and rob the things of that person. So this is called tamasic. For our own gain, for his own selfish gain, he can harm others. So this prayer is not not advised. It's not to be done. Though it is communion with God, though that person seeks the blessing of God, and sometimes maybe when he prays, he feels that God is blessed, and he gets his strength from the prayer. And that is but injuring, harming others, robbing others. That is not the real prayer. This is called tamasika prayer, not to be done. So then another prayer is called rajasika prayer. So this rajasika prayer is when we pray for yourself. You talk to God for your own selfish gains. You want something in your house. You want to remove your afflictions. You want to be free from the suffering, the want of some wealth. So that type of when that type of prayer is done, so that is called rajasika prayer. There is sattvika prayer. Sattvika prayer is one when prays for all of humanity or for others. So when you pray for someone who is sick, may he be cured. So you go to God, approach him and talk to him. He's suffering a lot. Please, Lord, he is your son and he's your daughter, or his daughter. Please remove his suffering. Please give him peace of mind, and may his suffering be removed. When you pray that way, it's called sattvika prayer. And you pray for the whole world. May all be happy. May all be peaceful. This is sattvika prayer when we pray for others. All the prayers, the best prayer is the sattvika prayer. When you are connected to God for the sake of all people in the world, because knowing that everyone is your own person, and knowing that every created being is God's child. God has created this world. When that type of idea is there, so that is the sattvika prayer, the prayer done for the whole, for the sake of whole humanity. Wonderful, beautiful prayers there for the sake of all. So that prayer we often recite is called Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kasid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. You go and talk to God. Oh Lord, may all be happy, may all be healthy, may all be positive and see good in others. May none fall on evil ways. So for all, you have the goodwill for all, and you approach God for giving that glory of joy to others. No physical suffering, no mental suffering. Please, Lord, save them from this suffering. To whom? To all. Not to only to me or my person whom I call my family, but to everyone. Whenever you see any human being suffering, your heart melts for that. And then you pray, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kasid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. That's how the communion with God comes, and for the good of all. It's very sattvika prayer. It's very sattvika communication. When you approach God, not for your sake, but for the sake of whole humanity, for the sake of others. So unselfish. And when it is unselfish, it cleanses your mind. Also, if your prayer is sincere, God always listens to that, they say. So when you pray for someone else, if it is sincere prayer, God really acts on it and things happen. That has been seen. So that's why it is said that always pray for others. That is more effective and more purifying for yourself and more joyful also. When you pray for yourself and you get something, that is little joy of getting that thing. So that is not that joyful. It's only one thing attained. But when you pray for others, you feel by prayer itself, you feel joy by doing, thinking about others, by your unselfish thought, by communicating with God for the sake of others is so joyful. It is very important to pray for others. So how to pray, how to speak with God? One is speaking with God from mouth. You go and talk to God, as many people used to go and they talk to God in the temple. Lord, do this, Lord, do that. They can say space, loudly, like, as if hearing God is hearing to you. In the temples, when you go and you start talking to God, people may say you are like crazy person. What people generally do is they talk to God when they are in their privacy, in their own room, in front of the statuette or in front of the picture of the deity that they worship daily. And they can talk to God and with mouth loudly. So another is from mind only. You talk to God from mind only. And I think, and you are speaking to God mentally. We talk mentally, we think so many things. Mentally, thinking is also talking. It's the silent talking, talking in silence. And then that also becomes effective. Generally, when we go to temples or churches or the places of worship, we talk to God in silence, in mind. So that is also talking to God, that inaudible mental sound. So people won't hear, but you are as if talking to someone. So that is also very important, and that's most effective way to talk to God. Another is there. It's talking from heart. It is the real communion. So not only just you recite some words and say, but you feel in your heart and you communicate your feeling to God. So that is the real prayer, and that is very effective prayer when you talk to God from your heart, not only from the mind, but from your heart. You feel and you express your feeling in the feeling from the heart, and God listens to that feeling of your heart. So that is called speaking with God from the heart. So this how we can communicate with God in that many ways. What does prayer do? It transforms man into God. uh, I in the man, human beings become divine. They say during worship it is often said, Devo Bhutva Devam Yajet. You want to worship God, you have to raise yourself to the level of God. You have to attain that purity. You have to attain that unselfishness of divine. You have to attain that all loving all as the God loves us all. Then only you are able to worship God. So Devo Bhutva Devam Yajit. So how this will happen? By prayer to God. So that's why it is said, mm, to pray to God is transforms man into God. So, and what it does, it transforms I into thou. Always we think of only ourselves, and only everything. I did this, I want that. There is no end of I. That they say this is the most commonly used pronoun in the dictionary or in our languages. We when we talk, is most used word is I. That one letter word, but it's so powerful and it has taken the center of our life. Everything about me and I, we only think that way. What prayer does, when we start communicating with God, when we start talking with God, that then we find that I am talking more about thou. You praise to God for giving you the things. You praise to God for being there. You praise to God for He is the reality and source of all the happiness. He prays to God for being the creator of this beautiful world. All that comes from thou. So when we start communicating with God unknowingly, our I becomes less and less, and God takes the place of I. And instead of saying I, start saying thou. Thou, O Lord, was so great. Thou, O Lord, may I not forget thee. So, thou, O Lord, you have done this. I have not done this. So, I transforms into thou. The communicating with God also makes that to feel that ego is transformed into Brahman. Ego is aham, the sense of I. That's why when we pray to God, it leads us from the idea of I to Brahman, aham Brahmasmi. That I, the real I, is not this body, mind, limited being. Real I is infinite, pure consciousness, and that pure consciousness is Brahman. So the person then realizes aham Brahmasmi. The ego is unreal and Brahman is real. I'm not that puny ego that wants these things of the world and all things about only about this body mind thing as the only existence, that if this is gone I will die, like that thing. But understands aham brahmasmi, I am that Brahman, that reality, that never created, never dying, immortal reality, infinite, powerful, infinite bliss, infinite existence. That I am, infinite love and infinite knowledge. That I am, that person realizes by the power of prayer. Prayer has the power to transform aham into Brahman. It is not transforming your ego into Brahman, it is making you realize that you are not that egoistic being that thinks the one which is separate from the whole, that partial. It makes you whole. When aham is equated to Brahman, you become whole, infinite. Otherwise we are fragmented. We think we are fragmented particle of this universe, and we confine unknowingly and erringly to this body mind complex as our reality. So that has to transcend, that has to go. I am not this only this body mind thing. This is just a part of nature. Not only I am not only this, I am not this at all. I am that Brahman. Aham, not ahankara. Aham Brahma Asmi. I am that Brahman. So that type of idea comes from prayer. Communicating can lead us to that realization. I am Brahman. When the teacher said Tattvamasi, thou art that, you are talking about the reality that is all pervading, and you think yourself as this small, weak, fragmented being. He said, no, that is not right. You are not that what you think you are. You are that infinite being. You are that ever blissful being. You are that ever immortal being. And then the prayer comes. You do the prayer, you communicate with God, you meditate on God. That is also prayer. Meditation on God is also prayer. You think of God only, and you just give up everything else in your thought, and take the mind from everything else into the thought of God, thought of divine. And then you realize yourself as the divine and God, and that idea comes aham brahmasmi. That type of transformation can happen when we communicate with God, when we speak with God through our mouth, through our mind, through our heart. The divine, that and when we pray and we become one with the divine, and the divine nectar fills us, then what happens when we realize God? What is the utility of person being spiritual? Does it have any goodness for the society as such, or only the person who has realized God is benefited? He is not now afraid of death. He has known his real nature, and the body and bodily, or relations and bodily defects and problems doesn't trouble him at all or her at all. Is that only this person related? No. When one realizes God, whole humanity benefits. How does it benefit? The divine nectar received through prayers, it is spilled in one's day-to-day activities. So you become full with that divine nectar that you have received through the prayer, through your communication. You have become in contact with God, and then you become a conduit, you become a pipeline through which flows what? The nectar of God. If the God flows through your words, it is all divine, consoling, happy, peaceful word that flows, and effective words. When a person of realization speaks to anyone, the words are very powerful. The words may be very simply spoken in very softest language, the softest way, but they are very powerful. So that happens, you become that the nectar that you have achieved through your prayer, and you have get communication through your prayer. You have God, you're talking with God, you're very close to God, and that nectar then spills in your daily activities, in everything that you do and everything that you see, the way you walk. As Sri Krishna, as Arjuna had asked to Sri Krishna, how does this Sthita Prajna person sits and walks, and how does he talk and how does he behave? That Sthita Prajna person is that who has now is in communion with God. He is always soaked with the nectar of God. How does he do? So his way of doing is different. His way of thinking is for all, and his aura is so pure and so influencing that anybody that comes near him feels the presence of God and peace of the divine. And that is what the person, when they realize through their communication with God, they can do that. There are different categories of prayers. One prayer is called invocatory prayer. That when you pray to God, you talk to God and invoke the God's presence. God, please come to me. Please reveal yourself to me. I want to feel your presence. I know that you are there, but I am not feeling your presence. Please come, please hear. Iha gacha in worship we do. Lord, please come here. Iha tista. Please sit here and worship and accept my worship. That is called invocatory prayer. When you invoke the presence of God, when you invoke God amongst you to offer your worship, that is invocatory. There is another prayer, it's called petitionary prayer. Petitionary, you ask something of God. God, please give me this, make this thing happen to me, make this thing happen to other person. All of, when you pray to God for the welfare of others, when you talk to God about something good about others, that is also petitionary prayer. You pray for something from God. You want something, mental peace, some physical comfort, some removing of some suffering, or something that you want in life. You pray to God, the Lord, give me this. So all these are called petitionary prayer. You petition to God that you want something, you approach to God, and you know that God is capable of doing everything. That's called petitionary prayer. When Swami Vivekananda went, all this Dhruva, Swami Vivekananda, all this story begins with petitionary prayer. Swami Vivekananda was suffering from dire poverty and nothing to feed and support his family. He was the eldest son. And then he went to Dakshineshwar and asked Sri Ramakrishna to pray to Divine Mother Kali that please pray for me. There is no food, no cloth, dire poverty in house. So something should be there by your grace, by your blessing. You can grant that. He said, no, I don't pray that way. You go and pray to Divine Mother yourself. So Swami Vivekananda first time goes to the temple after many years of being with Sri Ramakrishna, and he goes to pray for removing his want of his poverty and giving him some support, financial support for food and other things. But when he approaches there, he forgets everything about the petition, and what he does, he just was in the awe. The communication, the prayer is from heart, the prayer from mouth and prayer from mind, and asking something, petition all gone. Now communication through heart comes, and the glory of divine being present there is revealed to him, and he is dumb to ask anything. He cannot ask. He didn't couldn't ask anything. Comes back to Sri Ramakrishna. Many times it happened. Sri Ramakrishna then after all sudden he couldn't say. And Sri Swami Vivekananda at the end he went fourth. This the third time he went, and then he saw and he remembered what to ask. Sri Ramakrishna had been asking always, how do you forget? You are such an intelligent person, you have such a memory, and you forget to ask. That was not forgetting from the mind, it was raising the mind in different stage by the grace of God, that she had raised Swami Vivekananda's mind, not from this simple petty needs of the world to a divine bliss. And he saw that God's presence, he could ask that, but he felt that asking for something like give money, something give to support my family, it's too low a thing to ask from God, who can grant you much more valuable thing. And what he asked, then he really asked for valuable thing. What he asked for discernment, and for renunciation or detachment, discernment and detachment, for knowledge and for love. So that's what Swami Vivekananda asked. What is to be asked from God? God can give very high valuable thing, not few penny or few money to survive you and have some food and all that. That is very very simple thing to ask from a great being as God. So that can be asked from any other person. So with little money, from when you approach God, ask something to change your life, that works on your mind, that purifies your heart, and that is what God can grant. And Swami Viji was so wise, and he could ask that, give me knowledge, give me love, and give me uninterrupted vision, your presence to me. He asked all the things, all he could ask from Divine Mother. That is called, that is what the petitionary prayer had started, had gone for that, but transformed by the grace of God. Dhruva's story also like that. Dhruva also wanted some gain in his family, that he wanted that he could sit on the lap of his father, who was a king. He was denied by his stepmother, and she said, "You go to pray to God, and only when God is pleased, then only you can do that." And when he prays to God and prays, and he speaks to God through the prayer, Om Namo Narayanaya. He says, "I bow down to Narayanaya. I bow down to Narayan." It's completely saying, "I bow down." Then he's totally surrendered himself, totally got absorbed in God, forgot everything else. And really, when that came, God appeared to him and said, "Dhruva, what do you want?" He said, "Lord, please give me your uninterrupted vision. Give me love for thee. May I love thee. May I be a great devotee of God. May I want nothing in the world." But you had asked something, you had come, started your prayer, it was the petitionary prayer. How such broad, valuable things you are asking that could be asked from God? Why not what you started with? And Dhruva said, "I had started to find the glass beads, but when I found diamond, do I seek the glass beads anymore? I seek you, I seek the diamond. You are the diamond." So that's what Dhruva said. All petitionary prayer also may lead to the real prayer for our ultimate welfare by the will of God. So petitionary prayer is also accepted in the scriptures, that you begin to approach God with whatever you need. Even in the world, you need something. Artha also approach God, or Artharthi also approach God. But you approach God, then God will take care. He will grant something, and you will come in closer to God. Today, you are asking for some Artha, some objects, but maybe one day you will go and ask for something higher, something real. So this also helps. And another is called purificatory prayer. That you ask for the purification. Papoham, papa karmaham, papatma, papa sambhava, trahimam pundari kaksha, sarva papa harohara. Oh Lord, I have done so many mistakes, and that has been my doing, and you are here to purify everyone. Even repeating your name purifies one. So, yes, pranamatrena, that one verse is there, that when you remember God, you're all purified, everything you need is all attained. So here is this purificatory prayer is also prayer. Please purify me. There is having guilt, weakness, sin, whatever you call, and you have the power to remove all my weakness, sin, guilt, wrongdoing. Please purify me and see that I never do any wrong anymore. So that is all a purificatory prayer. You come close to God. God really helps, and your life is changed. There is also illuminatory prayer. That's what Swami Vivekananda said. Give me your uninterrupted vision. Give me the knowledge of Brahman. That is called illuminatory prayer. You want illumination. You want knowledge, true knowledge of the self. There is, of course, personal prayer. You pray only for yourself. And also universal prayer. You pray for the whole world. When you say Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, it's universal prayer. When you say please give me some, that I may have, I may be pure, then it becomes personal prayer. But personal prayer is not bad at all. Whole our thing begins from personal. That I is not to be mistaken, that we are all centered in I. That I has to be transformed to thou. But for the present situation, we have this I, this ego is there, this limited idea of the limited existence is there. So that has to be transformed through our speaking with God, through the grace of God. That's why we go to God, even approaching with personal prayer. Ultimately, when we transcend our ego and we start thinking and feeling about the whole world, then our personal prayer becomes universal prayer. But there are so many kinds of prayer that happens. How to speak with God? The best way is by closing eyes and stopping the distractions of the mind and surrendering to Him and crying to Him with open heart, as did Sri Ramakrishna. So you pray in the mind, and through the heart, your heart is connected to God. And then the mind thinks, and mind helps to express the feeling of your heart. So that is the best prayer that one does. And often when you pray that way, and you approach God, then often the signs and physical signs also happen. You start, the tears start trickling from your eyes, the eyes, the tears of joy, tears of approaching God, being with God. That comes when that you start praying that way, and and you open the heart. Sri Ramakrishna, how much he prayed to the Divine Mother, crying, crying, Mother, reveal. And what was the prayer of Sri Ramakrishna? Reveal thyself unto me. Please show yourself to me. Otherwise, this life without God is useless. That type of feeling Sri Ramakrishna had, and and he was in such an agony by not seeing God. His prayer had gone to such a high level that he could not live. He could not think of living without having God in his life, without seeing God, God being revealing to himself or herself to him, and he's seeing and being in touch with God, directly perceiving God's presence, God's seeing God's form. That was his. It turned into agony, vyakulata, and that yearning that leads to God realization, says Sri Ramakrishna. When such type of yearning comes, says Sri Ramakrishna, that it is like the dawn. After dawn, there is no late. When dawn is there, sunrise will be soon. So that's how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also prayed in his Shikshastakam. He says to pray to us that you should pray that na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam, va jagadish kame. I don't want wealth. I don't want popularity. I don't want anything else. I don't want learning. Oh Lord, what do I want? Mama janmani janmani Ishware bhavatad bhakti rahaitu ki tvai. Oh Lord, may I have from birth to birth. If I be born again, then also may I have love for thee. That in all lives may I be always connected to you. That is the prayer. That is the very high, what that type of prayer that people should do. That I want God and nothing else. All that prayer of artha or artharthi all goes away, and the prayer of jnani is there. That I want you, nothing else. You are the source of all, mitigating all wants. The things of the world cannot satisfy my wants. One want finishes, other want comes. But when I get you, all of my want will be gone. So there have been prayers that people have seen God. Namadeva, he saw God. Mirabai, how Mirabai was soaked with the Krishna consciousness, and she had become, by the prayer and speaking with God and communing by their communion with God, they were all absorbed the God. They had become divine. In that case, Mirabai was given poison. That poison could not do anything to her because she had become divine. What the poison will do to the divine? Shiva cannot be affected by halahala. So like that, Mirabai could be saved from that. So like that, Haridas, the teacher of Tansen, was also a devotee of God. And people saw that when he was playing the flute, that Haridas, people saw some other hands were there. And Haridas was singing, people, some other hands. The Krishna's hands came to play the flute. Krishna was playing the flute, and sim that Haridas is playing. So that people could see the God comes to help. We know that in Ram Prasad's life also, he was making the fence in his courtyard, in his field. And then he found that Divine Mother has come in the form of a little girl, and she started helping her in tying the thread to the fences, and helping him in fencing. God reveals in form. Sri Ramakrishna also got revealed in form. He saw the Divine Mother in the form of a little girl walking in the courtyard, dancing there, climbing the stairs, looking towards Ganga, looking towards Calcutta. Just the God becoming embodiment in the human form. So that is possible. How Mathur also saw God in Sri Ramakrishna. He saw in Sri Ramakrishna was walking on the veranda, and Mathur was in his house just nearby on the his terrace, on the window he was seeing, and he saw when Sri Ramakrishna was walking, he saw once, but next when Sri Ramakrishna returns, he sees it is Shiva returning. Next he says it's Kali returning. Now Shiva and Kali were walking in place of Sri Ramakrishna. He ran, coming, and he just bowed down to Sri Ramakrishna. You are not ordinary human being. You are divine. You are the combination of Shiva and Kali. Kali was his Ishta. So Ishta came and started leaving him in the form of Sri Ramakrishna, that he was aware by the grace of God and revelation of God to him. Like that, many things happen that prayer, yearning, who is he, that love, that creates that these sorts of visions can come in the life. Prayer awakens something, and the deeper in us, the hidden power, the grace of God, or the sixth sense that happens through the prayer, through the speaking with God, can enlighten us. Our sixth sense can open, and our heart is the lotus of the heart starts blooming through the power of prayer. Prayer is so powerful thing. Then in when the prayer also, ego reduces and love for all increases. So that's when we say naham naham tuhu tuhu, that Sri Ramakrishna famous that thing. You don't seek anything for you, you don't take credit anything for you. It's all thou, O Lord. It is thou who have done that, thou who have achieved that. So I am nothing. So I goes away and is replaced by God. I transforms into thou. So start seeing it is happened by God's will. It happened by God done. I am nothing. I have done nothing. So like that, thoughts have come when we start praying to God. When should we talk to God? Many people talk to God all the time. Anytime, God is always there. You can talk to God anytime. But before that, God's presence is felt. In many religions, scripture it says, like in Islam, they emphasize too much, emphasize praying God formally. You should pray 5 times a day, in the early morning, then afternoon, early afternoon, then late afternoon, then evening, and then night. So early night. Like that, there are 5 daily prayers for every Muslim they have to do. They have to connect with God. They have to talk with God. Prayer is talking with God. They have to speak with God 5 times a day. And for more devout Muslim, two more times are said early in the morning, even before sunrise, and at late at night. That also they can pray individually in their home, not in the mosque, but that is also there. Christians pray every Sunday to God, and they are asked to pray all the time. As Thomas A. Kempis, who wrote that Imitation of Christ, he also said, pray to God unceasingly. There's no time to pray to God. Every breath should pray. Every action should be a prayer. So pray to God all the time. That is the saying. But formally, it is they pray to go to church and pray 7 days a week. But that is not enough to once a week. But that is not enough to pray to communicate with God. One should be connected to God always and pray to God always within heart, because God resides within your heart. There is no doubt about that. External worship of God in the temples and the places of worship in the church and mosque is just trying to find revealing the God from our heart, bringing him out and seeing him outside. Otherwise, what the meaning is, you go to the place of worship once a week and only you communicate with God that day. No, that is not enough. The heart will not satisfy by that weekly communication, weekly speaking with God. You want to talk to God daily, many times in a day, every moment in a day, as our love of God grows. Hindus say in the beginning, you can pray early in the morning, when the sun meets with the night. That's called dawn. That's very auspicious time to pray to God. Your mind is calm, and the revelation of God will be, you'll find more easily. God can reveal all the time, but it is up to you when you can accept the God's presence. And another time Hindus say is evening and night, that when day and night meet in the evening. that evening and dawn are the best time for praying to God, communicating God, talking with God, bringing God into your life, forgetting yourself and being merging with God. That is the time. So, what to speak with God, as I said, prayer should be more universal, slowly, and prayer for it should be more of inspiratory prayer. That you want inspiration, illuminatory prayer, you want illumination. That sort of prayer should be there. But in the Vedic time, they have been praying so nicely. The one beautiful Vedic prayer is Bhadram Karane Visrinuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashemakshvirya Jatraha Sthirairangai Tustuvagam Sastanubi Vyasema Devahitai Yadayuhu. So it says, O Lord, may I see what is all good, Bhadra, auspicious good, my eyes should see all good. What that is, I should not see bad outside. Everything I should see good. Every person is good. Everything is good. All positive thing. Don't make me negative. Don't me see something bad, ugly. May I see beauty in everything in your creation. So that is what Bhadram Karna. May I hear everything that is auspicious. Whatever I hear, may I not react it as something bad. All are good. May I be able to convert that whatever I see is good. Bhadram Karne Visriyamadeva. And whatever the life that God has given, may it be utilized for the service of God, for the welfare of God. So beautiful prayer it is. So this Bhadram Karnevi Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, may all be happy, may all be peaceful. So like that, all the prayer are there. So there is one beautiful prayer that Master showed. How should one pray? He just fell on the ground and started shaking his hand and feet like the child and pray to God. Be restless for God. Pray to God in that way. Then the God, the Divine Mother, will rush when she sees his child is really wanting her. Then she will come to you and reveal herself, take you on her lap. So that is the one way what you should do. And what he said is, when you pray to God, it should be sincere and the prayer should come from the heart. Communication should come from the heart. One in the gospel, he said very beautifully, there is a master's prayer in the gospel on page 731 in the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Let me conclude with that prayer of Sri Ramakrishna, that speaking to God, to the Divine Mother with Sri Ramakrishna. How Sri Ramakrishna speaks from the heart to the Divine Mother. He says, O Mother, I throw myself on thy mercy. I take shelter at thy hallowed feet. I do not want bodily comforts. I do not crave name and fame. I do not seek the eight occult powers. Be gracious and grant that know, I may have pure love for thee, a love unsmitten by desire, untainted by any selfish end, a love earned by the devotee for the sake of love alone, and grant me the favor, O Mother, that I may not be deluded by thy world bewitching Maya, that I may never be attached to the world, to woman and gold, conjured up by thy inscrutable Maya. O Mother, there is no one but thee whom I may call my own. Mother, I do not know how to worship. I am without austerity. I have neither devotion nor knowledge. Be gracious, Mother, and out of thy infinite mercy, grant me love for thy lotus feet. Mother, protect from this world bewitching Maya, so attractive, so distractive from the real goal of life, of where we find communicate with God. So this distracts and this is attractive. That's why mind gets distracted to this attraction of the world, useless attraction to the world. Please protect me from that attraction, your world bewitching Maya. And may I do not seek anything worldly gain, worldly power, worldly wealth, nothing I want, worldly name and fame. Please grant me that I may have pure love for thy lotus feet. I need only you and nothing else that you can give. That is the best talk with God, best speaking with God. When we ask nothing from God, but we ask God Himself or herself for us. May you be with me. May I be, may you reveal to me. May I serve you. May I feel one with you. May I be one with you. When such sorts of speaking comes and the prayer comes, that illumination comes. These are all called illuminatory prayer. When you seek the illumination of yourself and you want that knowledge, such type of prayer, such type of devotees are jnani, who know that God alone is the substance, everything is non-substance. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Ishwar I vastu arshab avastu. Everything is unsubstantial. Everything is valueless. Only God is the valuable. God alone is the substance one should seek. Everything else is just allurement of the Maya. Don't be caught by the Maya. But very difficult. Then also that means prayer. Mother, don't bewitch me by that this allurement of this Maya that you have conjured up all around, and grant me your vision, your thought. Grant me my love for thee and my love for thy lotus feet. This total surrender to the divine will. When we speak to God with that way, God comes in our life. We become illumined, and our, as I said, our lotus of the heart blooms, or our sixth eye opens, or we become a illumined person when by the grace of God. That's why the prayer says that's the purpose of really speaking with God, is transforming ourselves from I to thou, from ego to Brahman, from man to divine. That what the prayer or communication or speaking with God can do. Thank you very much. Now the closing chants. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. जय श्री गुरु महाराज जी की जय, जय महामाई की जय, जय स्वामी जी महाराज जी की जय, जय गंगा माई की जय, जय भगवान बुद्ध की जय, जय ईशा मूषा की जय। सर्वस्तरतु दुर्गानि सर्वो भद्राणि पश्यतु, सर्वसद्बुद्धिमाप्नोतु, सर्वत्र नन्दतु। हरि ओम तत्सत्. May all be freed from dangers. May all realize what is good. May all be actuated by noble thoughts. May all rejoice everywhere. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us all.